Awesome. So thank you again and welcome. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Kyle Schwindler. I work right in the admissions office here at Niagara, also an alumni. I've worked at Niagara just between 4 and 5 years now. So hopefully today, this presentation, I'll be able to help answer any questions that you have and give you a lot of great insight into the college search process. As a student at Niagara, I finished my bachelor's degree, but then I also went on and completed my master's degree in higher education administration. So focusing specifically on enrollment in the college search process. I think that between myself and also one of our current students and tour guide, Maddie Evans, will be able to answer all of your questions. So Maddie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks. My name is Maddie. I'm going to be a senior in the fall, and I'm a sociology major with an American Sign Language and Deaf Studies minor. Other than that, I also work here in admissions as a tour guide and student assistant, and I'm in a couple clubs as well. So any questions about involvement or student life, please let me know.
Sweet. Thank you, Maddie. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and share my screen. That way we can get started here. Okay, just stop sharing that for some reason. Wouldn't let me click. Here we go. Oops. All right, so here we are. You've probably seen this graphic somewhere. So today is what we're calling the college info session, this college search info session. And ultimately, we work at Niagara University. She's a tour guide. I work here, but it's also going to be a pretty general college information search for kind of a blanket admissions presentation for kind of tips and tricks, what to look for. So Chris and Amanda, I'm not sure where you are, if you're parents or if you're students, if your son or daughter or you are, just starting your junior year or your senior year. If you want to message me where you are in your search process, that way I can kind of cater this a little bit to where you are, feel free. But again, my name is Kyle Schwindler and I'm the Associate Director of Admissions at Niagara. So today, some topics that we're going to really be able to run through quickly are the actual college visits, applications, SAT and ACT, extracurriculars, and some of the interests. We'll go through some athletics, different opportunities there, finding the right fit, and then everybody's favorite topic, financial aid. So visiting college, super important. If you haven't visited yet, please feel free, come visit us or any school in person. Virtually, obviously, you're here today, but really, sometimes to visit. Spring open houses, junior focused, typically happen this past spring, will happen next spring. But then this summer, we just had a summer open house this past weekend, and we're gonna have some open houses coming up in August and then also in September. So if you're going on vacation and there's some schools near where you're going on vacation and that kind of align with, maybe doing some visits there, some open houses while you're there, always a great time to, get the exposure. Some campuses offer like drive-through tours. Some you can just kind of walk in and do some tours. But if you do have any trips planned, that's always a nice opportunity to kind of just get out and do something. But most definitely fall of your senior year. You'll want to be able to kind of come in, check the campus out, see if you like it, if you applied there, see what it's like, or if you want to apply there, see what it's like. But there's ultimately different types of visits. So if you're new to the search process, switch your styles of visits up. Typically, a student will visit one school they're interested in between 2 and 3 times. So, maybe you come the first time as an open house, and then the second time you come is a personalized college tour. So you walk around with the tour guide like Maddie, and you're able to kind of spend an hour or so with her, go through most of the building, see the dining hall, residence hall, and be able to check out all those things. And then maybe you'll come back in the spring of your senior year for an accepted student event or reception, or you'll be able to connect with your admissions counselor like myself inside your high school, which we typically try to be in the high schools at least once in the fall, once in the spring. If you're around us, we try to get in there a little bit more. We also have some virtual visits, of course, but being able to switch these styles of visits up will ultimately give you different perspectives, different opportunities to connect with faculty, maybe some faculty panels at some open house, some student panels at an open house. Maybe you visit an open house on a weekend, then you do a personalized tour during the week. You can maybe sit in some classes, meet with some professors, be able to meet with some advisors, talk about different classes, and be able to kind of just get a good gist of who we are and what our faculty are like. Some distinguishing factors between colleges. So what you'll find out when you go and you start visiting colleges, or if you've already started visiting colleges, you're going to figure out we all sound the same. Every single one of us, we say the same exact things. Our campus is beautiful. Our professors are great. We want you to develop and grow into a leader, into the community. We have 100 clubs. Our trees are beautiful, et cetera, et cetera. We all sound the same. So how do you tell these schools apart? What are some of the distinguishing factors that you can really tell, like a good school from a not so good school? So a couple of things that I put in here, I think that really can make a school stand out, that it's going to benefit you the most. And that is academic advisement. When you are looking at a college and school or university, advisement is not consistent across the board. So a lot of schools do it differently. A lot of schools have different models. At Niagara University, we have a faculty model of advisement. So what that means is you're going to have the same full-time faculty member as your advisor all 4 years. Very similar to the high school model where you have a school counselor and you have that same school counselor all 4 years. We do the same thing on our college campus, in our colleges. So if you're coming in, you're a nursing major, or you're a biology major, a criminal justice major, theater major, whatever major you are, you will have a full-time faculty member of that major be your advisor all 4 years. So you get to know that faculty member, they get to know you, but they also know the program like the back of their hand. So they make sure that you are taking the right classes in the right order. And for us, it's also required that you meet with your advisor twice a semester. Twice a year, once a semester. Being able to meet once a semester, always planning for the next semester. So you're required to meet with them at least twice. You can meet with them as many times as you want, once a week, every day, every other week, once a month. It doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with, they are there to help and support you. So I think advisement could be a key piece to look at, because some schools just have a general advisement office. They just push you to that office. They're not faculty members. They're just advising you. They're just advisors. So being able to get that faculty focus, making sure you graduate in 4 years and on time is important. Retention rates. This is one key piece I like to talk about. In admissions, we get a lot of questions like, what's your acceptance rate? What's your acceptance rate? What's your acceptance rate? But if you're a smart student, you're a strong student, and you get accepted to a school, that's great. But ultimately, you want to be able to put yourself in a position where you're going to be spending a little bit of cash on college. You're going to want to be able to set yourself up for success, and you want to be successful, right? There's a will, if you're looking at college, that you want to be able to continue and graduate. So retention rates typically are measured from freshman year to sophomore year. So first year to second year retention, meaning do the students stay from first year to their second year? So retention rates are a really good look at, are schools truthful? Are they saying, yes, we love our students, we support our students, and we make sure that they stay? Because there are some schools that have some poor retention rates. And it's public information. You can look it up. You can check it out. So retention rates are crucial and they're critical. Thankfully for Niagara, we've been floating right through the 80s, between 88 and 84% over the past couple of years, even through the pandemic, of holding our students here on campus, which is incredible. You really knowing that your friends are going to stay and you're going to see them in the next year, and also that you're going to stay. So retention rates are another big distinguishing factor that you can at least ask on or definitely look up on your own. I think the number one unasked question in the whole college search process is the Office of Career Services. Office of Career Services is a gold mine. I've almost put it in gold font, but I felt like maybe people wouldn't be able to read it today. But Office of Career Services, when you go and you visit these colleges and these campuses, these are some great questions to ask, these three. But definitely, stick your hand up. You're going to be asked, any other questions? stick your hand up and be, do you have an office of career services? And when they say yes, be like, how do you help? What do you do? What are the processes that you have in place? Because ultimately, in admissions, between Maddie and myself, we're your entrance strategy. We help you get you in, we get you comfortable, get you figured out, figure out what major is going to work for you, get you connected with those faculty, help you figure out all the financial aid, get the costs all situated. But once you're here, the Office of Career Services is your exit strategy. Helping you get out, graduate, find a job or research or get those internships, resume building, mock interviews, all of those really key and crucial things that you need to be able to get done over the course of your 4 years and not just your senior year. So for us at Niagara, we have what we call Pathways program. So it's a 4-year, 4-step program that our Office of Career Services conducts, and that's available to you, like I said, starting your freshman year. Come in, assess yourself, then eventually discover the possibilities. What can you do? Where can you go? What are the jobs that you're interested in? Gaining the experience, getting you an internship or research experience is huge. Our wish is to have every single student have at least one internship. If you're in the College of Business, you'll probably have a couple. If you're in the College of Hospitality, Sport, and Tourism Management, you have to complete 700 or 800 hours of internship experience over the course of your 4 years. So internships are important to us, and they should be important to you. An internship can really make your resume, can really knock it out of the park. You're sitting there and you have 2 candidates, very similar schools, you both did great, but having a key internship on there, one will ultimately solidify the major in the field for you, but being able to have these internships can also solidify, like, do you want a bigger company? Do you want a smaller company? Do you like this role? Do you want a different role? Do something different? Do you want to switch majors? You could love it or you could hate it. So they're great key indicators before you get out there. But it's also nice. Internships are really building your professional network before you're even searching for a job. So internships are important in research. If research is important to you, if you're coming in as a science major, if there's other things that you want to focus on, research, that's definitely a key part of being able to go through your 4 years. So the application process, we're going to dive into that a little bit. But Maddie, you're the tour guide, you're the professional. Is there anything on the visit aspect or anything that you wanted to add on there that I missed?
Yeah, so just speaking from personal experience for myself, when I was looking at colleges and thinking about visiting, Kyle already mentioned the visit again. I always recommend visiting more than once because it was my second time to Niagara that I actually made my decision and put my deposit down. But how I went about visiting was keeping 3 criteria in mind the whole time. So that it was small size. I wanted the university to be small enough where I didn't feel lost. I wanted to be within 2 hours from home, which for me is in Rochester, and having a strong undecided program where I could explore for a major because I wasn't sure yet. So just making sure because there's so many colleges out there, having a general criteria before you head out and start visiting is a very good strategy. And then I visited 5 or 6 schools, both a mix of public and private, large and small, just so I could make pros and cons lists and compare them. And then when it came really down to it, I visited those top choices again. So that's my big thing.
Awesome. Thank you. So the application process, really being able to kind of slide into a timeline here of where you're at. So I don't know if I was trying to check the chat to see where we're at, but if you are going into your senior year now, the application process is really going to start for you this fall. So October is a really kind of a good month, I think, to really be able to kind of start getting some things done. So I typically like to say try to apply to all the schools you're thinking of by Halloween of your senior year. So October of your senior year. So if you're going into your senior year this October, be able to get your applications in. So a couple ways that you can apply to schools. Most schools have an application rate on their website. So you can go to the website, make an account, submit your application, and you're good. A lot of times, a lot of students plan on applying to multiple schools. I think Maddie, she said she applied to like 5 or 7 or so different schools. So Filling out what is called the common application typically is a little bit easier for some students. The majority of applications we receive are from the common application. So to explain what that is, if you haven't heard anything about it, the common application is one application that you go on, you fill out, you make an account, and then you can submit to multiple schools. So there's the common application, there's the SUNY application. But on the common application, you can actually apply to private and SUNY schools. The SUNY application, you only can apply to SUNY schools. So I would recommend the common app. That way you can apply to as many schools as you want, private or public. And then it's free to apply to Niagara. So some schools do have application fees, so that will be decided between each schools that you're applying to. But for Niagara, no matter what application you fill out or submit, it will not cost you anything. Once your application is submitted and we've received all the requirements, it'll be reviewed by your admissions counselor, like myself. I'll go through the requirements in a second, but one point I do like to make, if you are a junior or you haven't started your college search yet, creating a separate email for your college applications in your search process, I recommend. It just kind of keeps everything in one spot. And also colleges and universities, we really like to send you a lot of emails. So being able to kind of have that in one area off to the side, I think is beneficial and a little helpful in terms of organization. So in order for myself, an admissions counselor, to make a decision on an application, I typically need 5 things. Your actual application itself, and then these requirements down here. Your essay, 2 letters of recommendation, your high school transcript, and then your SAT or ACT test score if you're taking them. So the essay will break down in a second. Letters of recommendation, you can start thinking about who you want to ask for that. If you apply through the Common App, it'll actually have a space for you to enter your first name, last name, and email of the folks that you want to ask to write your letter of recommendation. And once you submit that Common App, it'll actually send those folks an email. And they can upload their letter of recommendation from that email, and it'll get sent directly to us. So it's very easy, but I would definitely have conversations with those folks before you just send them that email. Make sure that they're okay with it, they're cool with it, they can do it, and then ultimately getting those submitted to us. Your high school transcript, you will just have to connect with your high school counselor and let them know where you're applying and where you want your transcript sent to. We have to get this transcript directly from your school, so being able to have that sent over, will be a part of the process. So the application you're in control of, the essay you're in control of. You can honestly start writing your essay this summer if you wanted to, and then tweak it, here and there. Letters of rec and high school transcript, they're sort of in your control, but not really. You can control who sends them, and you want to have these conversations early, but you can't make those folks type any faster, and you can't make your high school send it any sooner. So the sooner you ask, the better. That way you know that everything can get in, and we can start reviewing your application. SAT and ACT test scores, I'm definitely going to talk about here in a second, but we are test optional. Most schools are test optional, especially after the pandemic. Most schools did switch. Niagara, we've been test optional for many years, but I'll go into those a little bit later. But once we get all 5 of those things, so what I like to say is get your application in by Halloween, and then you get the rest of the things submitted by Thanksgiving. Between Halloween and Thanksgiving, if you get all those 5 pieces in and submitted, that means we have a complete application. Then I can go forward and review and make a decision. If you get all these materials in by Thanksgiving for all of the schools that you're looking at and applying to, most likely you will know all the schools you're accepted to by Christmas. So that really, 1, you're done. Christmas time, you're over with, your application process is over. You don't have to worry about it. And then that really leaves January, February, March, and April, that spring of your senior year, to really hone in and focus on your top 4 schools, narrow down to your top 3, and eventually your top 2, and then eventually figure out which school is going to work best for you by May 1st, which is the National College Decision Day. So Maddie, you said you deposited on your second visit. Was that like in the spring of your senior year?
Yeah, so it was, I believe, April, end of March, early April of my senior year. And at that point, I had visited all of my top contenders again, and Niagara was really standing out at that second visit. And I ended up paying my deposit right around April. So it was close to decision day, but a little bit before.
Nice. So those visiting multiple times, that definitely helped you out a lot for sure.
Mhm.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you. So breaking down the actual application process, supplemental items, they can be called the essay. This is your time to shine. And also, so share any stories. You can think outside the box a little bit. But I feel like the essay for a lot of students can be so hard because it can be like go in so many directions. But one, it's really stick to a page, right around a page. Doesn't have to be anything too long, doesn't have to be anything too crazy. My personal favorite types of essays are ones that really explain why you're looking at a certain major or why you're looking at a certain college. Um, if you're using the Common App, it's hard to personalize those essays per, what college and university you're looking at. But if you're sticking to the same major at most schools, being able to have your essay explain why you want that major and what you want to do in the future, I think is great. Or if there's, things on your transcript where maybe you had a dip one year, sophomore year, junior year, whatever it is. This is an opportunity where you can explain what happened or what was going on in your life. These essays are an opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit more than just reading your and seeing what clubs and things you do outside of the classroom. It's a really your way to kind of just show us your voice, who you are, and what you plan on doing for the future. So, like I said, right around a page would be great. Letters of recommendation, we typically look for 2. As I said, ask early. If you're applying for bio, you're going to be a bio major, maybe ask your bio teacher. If you're applying, any applicable teacher of any major that you're going into, like if you took AP Psych and you're applying as a psych teacher, that would be great. But really anybody that knows you, that can speak to you, your guidance counselor, I'm sure, would write this for you as well. So co-curricular resumes are on here. Not too many schools are using this too much, but basically co-curricular resume is what else do you do outside of the classroom? So some schools might ask for it, and basically it's like, okay, we know you're a student, so what else do you do? Do you work? Do you have, do you volunteer at church, or do you have any internships? Basically anything else besides academics. They just kind of want something typed out. Okay, standardized tests. SAT, ACT, and test optional. So as Niagara, we're test optional across the board. So that means you don't need the SAT or ACT submitted. However, we're going to talk a little bit more on merit-based scholarships and scholarships a little later on. So SATs can typically come into that process. So my key advice as a professional in the field is take the test, take the test, take the test. Take it more than once. Before COVID, students were taking it 2, 3 times, sometimes 4 times. Between 2 times, 3 times, I think is a really good sweet spot. But again, we're test optional. So if you get these test scores, you get your scores back, and they do not reflect your academic ability, you do not have to submit. So there's no pressure. So take the test, see what you get. If you like the scores, you can submit. If you don't like your scores, you don't have to. The way I describe it is the SAT and the ACT, the more you take, the more tests you take, the more scores you get, which ultimately means the more tools you have on your tool belt. We super score. So if you do really good on one section of the SAT the first time and really good on another section of the SAT a second time, we'll take the 2 of the better scores and give you that higher score. So there's no negative other than the fact that you're going to be tired maybe a couple times out of the year taking the SAT. But take the test, take the test, take the test. You can take it more than once, and you can actually take the SAT and ACT after you've been accepted. So let's say you go through, you apply test optional, then you take the SAT and you get some scores back, you can always send those back to us. Or if you apply with one SAT score, but then you took it later and you get the scores after you're accepted, you can send those back to us. The important part is merit-based scholarships, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But merit-based scholarships, they're awarded to you based on your high school GPA and your SAT and ACT test score if you submitted them. So that's why SATs are important, because the higher GPA, the higher your SAT, the higher merit-based scholarship you're going to receive. Merit-based scholarships are awarded to you in your acceptance letter. So they'll say, congratulations, Chris, you're accepted to Niagara University in the Criminal Justice Department. You're going to receive X amount of dollars in merit-based scholarships. Merit-based scholarships aren't loans. You don't pay them back. It's congratulations for working so hard in high school. Niagara is not the only school to offer merit-based scholarships. Every school pretty much does. Most schools do. But private schools typically have higher merit-based scholarships compared to SUNY schools. They have lower merit-based scholarships. That's ultimately because the price point is a little bit higher at private schools versus SUNY schools. So ultimately, we'll talk more on them later, but merit-based scholarships are a really good opportunity to reduce cost, make college more affordable. So working hard in high school, getting all your homework done, it's going to come back and there's going to be a monetary payback for that. But having the SAT really kind of helps you roll the dice, figure out if you can get a higher merit-based scholarship or not. So I definitely recommend, my professional advice is to take those tests for sure. So ultimately, what you want to do, the college search process is you got to find the right fit. What school is going to work for you? You know, as Maddie said, she wanted to stay, 2 hours from home. She wanted a smaller school. She had a certain criteria of what she's looking for. You have to figure out what your criteria is. If you're not going to do well in a 400-person lecture hall, then maybe looking at a big, state university is not going to be the best fit for you. For Niagara, our average class size is 19. So it's a very personalized academic experience. Academics, do they have the right major? Is that school going to be good for you? Is it too close? Is it too far? Is it just right for home? Cost, scholarships, affordability is a big piece. And geographic setting, also can come into that. You kind of factor all of these things to find that perfect fit for what you're looking for. Your cousin's buddy's friend who went to a school and says they hated it, they might have hated because it didn't fit their who they were, but it might fit you. So being able to go visit these schools, check them out, I think is the best opportunity to figure out if it's going to be the best fit. At Niagara, small plug while you're here, we have 80 majors and 60 minors. We have a bunch of different colleges. College of Arts and Sciences, which is our largest. Our whole shoe College of Business and Administration, we have 5 majors in there: accounting, economics, finance, management, and marketing. College of Education, which is stellar and impeccable, has the highest accreditation in New York State. College of Hospitality, Sport, and Tourism Management, lots of different degrees going on in there between hotels, restaurants, sports management. Our College of Nursing, and then, as Maddie was talking about, our Academic Exploration Program, which is our 2-year exploratory program. You can come to Niagara your first 2 years, take any class of any major, except nursing. You'll be able to come in, test the waters, check those out, see what major works best for you, and then ultimately still being able to graduate on time in 4 years, and being able to kind of take the classes to see what works for you and what you like. So here is what I was talking about before between the different forms of aid. You have the merit-based scholarships, which you will find out in your acceptance letter, and you will get each year, every single year. Need-based aid is like gift aid, other scholarships, other grants, university aid. There's also federal aid, state aid, the FAFSA, the federal aid, TAP for New York residents, the tuition assistance program. But then there's also different schools like Niagara. We have what we call an SOS portal. And the SOS portal is what we call our Scholarship Opportunity Search portal. You can come in there and it's all for accepted students. You can use it freshman year through senior year, and it's a portal of scholarships. So each school has a lot of different options to kind of reduce cost and make it affordable. Right now, our merit-based scholarships for incoming freshmen have 5 different levels. Lowest being 10,000, our highest being 24,000 per year. So you get this, per year. And as you can see at the bottom right now, our tuition is about 35 for commuters. Take that 24 off. Next thing you know, it's affordable. Then you got your federal aid, your state aid, any other grants, any other scholarships that you receive. Next thing you know, it's really cheap. So merit-based scholarships are an important tool, and it's an important piece that you can look at that help reduce the cost. Not sure if any of you are transfer scholarships, but we have those as well. The FAFSA, if you are, new, if you don't have any older siblings that are going away to school, and this is either your first child or your first, you're the oldest, the FAFSA, I call it my favorite family bonding experience. It's not necessarily fun. Nobody gets excited filling this out. It's a government form, federal form, that will help determine your overall aid that you're going to receive. So this will open October 1st. So as I mentioned, October is a really good time to start cooking on this college search. You get your applications in and you can start applying for your federal aid. So the FAFSA we'll use this year, if you're going to be a senior this year and you're applying to colleges this year, you will be able to start that FAFSA, go in and file with your 2021 taxes. So you'll use your taxes from 2021, go through, fill that form out. If you get stuck, you need help, our financial aid office will be able to help you fill this form out. The sooner you fill it out, the better. That way we can, once we have your FAFSA on file, and what that means is you will go and take the FAFSA, you'll complete it. That information will then go to the government. They will take it, process it in their wisdom, and then send it to us when they're done. That process to go from A to B to C takes a couple weeks. You know, could typically, generally, right around 3 weeks is that kind of magic mark. So getting that in and completed as soon as you can is important. That way we can have it on file, we can process it, get it set up, and then once you're accepted, we'll then automatically create what we call financial aid package. So financial aid package or financial aid offer is, you know, typically we send those out January in the new year. So what a financial aid package does, or financial aid offer, you're going to hear offer and package used, you know, interchangeably this year. That the government changed the name; they want to call them financial aid offers. So they've been packages. These financial aid packages or offers will be sent and mailed directly to your house. And basically, every school that you added to your FAFSA, you know, if you apply to 10 different schools, you add the 10 different schools to your FAFSA, you get accepted to all 10 schools, you will receive 10 financial aid packages. So financial aid packages, once you're accepted, we have your FAFSA, we'll basically go and mail you a letter that says, here's what merit-based scholarship you're receiving, what federal aid, what state aid, any other university aid, any other grants, any other scholarships. Here's what it's going to cost you down to the penny to come to Niagara. And then any other school that you've accepted to and added to your FAFSA, we'll say, here's how much it's going to cost you to go to X school, Y school, Z school. That's when you can really start comparing and contrasting cost, looking at cost down to the penny. So again, that won't happen until January. So after Christmas, after the new year, that's when you really be able to kind of look closely at costs and have a really good understanding of what it's going to cost you specifically. So that's why I say trying to get these applications in and done by Thanksgiving. You have your acceptances by Christmas, and the next thing you know, you have your costs by January. Really helps things move along in the timeline very smooth. And then you really be able to kind of help make a decision, you know, to have discussions about the financial aid packages. They're not set in stone. We can adjust them. You know, we would hate for you to be like, we love Niagara, it's the #1 choice, but we're going somewhere else because it's $2,000 cheaper. Please let us know that. You know, if you're on here today, then you visit campus 2-3 times, you demonstrate your interest, we'd be able to get you that extra $2,000. You know, if you demonstrate your interest and you visit these campuses, you know, we want to make sure that we take care of it. Some other scholarships, you know, like on our campus and some other campuses will have things similar, like theater, we have some $5,000 scholarships. ROTC has some full tuition scholarships. Obviously, if you're a Division I athlete on our campus, we have 18 Division I sports teams. There's some athletic scholarships. We are Catholic Vincentian University, so we have some Vincentian scholarships as well. So there's a lot of other ones that you can kind of look into on top of federal aid, state aid. Some other online financial aid resources, the FAFSA, you know, you have the TAP, the New York State Aid, some federal and parent loans, Department of Education, the IRS tax transcript return you might need, and then there's some scholarship search in there like FastWeb, and I also mentioned our SOS portal. The contact information for our Office of Financial Aid is listed here. So feel free if you want to take a picture of that. You can always contact them with any questions. We just want to be as helpful as we can. Excuse me. And be able to help you through this because, as I mentioned, the FAFSA is not exciting. So I screwed it up as a student. So if you need help being able to tweak or edit, or you get stuck or hung up, you can call us and we'll be able to help. They'll be able to help you line by line. Be able to kind of help you get that figured out. Is there any questions? I know I just sped through that at the speed of light. So I want to say thank you for being able to tear through that with us. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, so it looks like you got this question in here. Wanted to ask about the weather during the school year. Yeah, so for us, Maddie, I'm sure you can definitely answer this in terms of weather. I think, well, one week we're, just north of Buffalo, so I'm not sure, Amanda, where you're from, but we do get some snow, but it's not as bad as you think. Up in Niagara County, we're north of Lake Erie, so the lake effect snow that hits a lot of Buffalo and the south towns, we necessarily don't get a ton of. So we will be able to, definitely bring a winter coat, definitely bring some hats and gloves and some boots. But ultimately, we really get a dusting. We don't get buried too much with a lot of snow. It'll get chilly. We are right across the street from Canada. So we have what separates us in Canada is a gorge. So we will get some wind. So you see some wind gusts. But ultimately, students move in end of August. So it's still kind of warm. It's really nice that you get to see the fall. Our campus is absolutely beautiful. The leaves change. It's incredible. We cruise through the winter, and then we come around, then we hang all the way out. Students stay on campus until about the middle of May. So really, it starts to really warm up and crisp up and get warm right through May. So we'll get a taste of all the seasons on our campus, which is nice. A lot of students will bring their winter clothes, and then when it switches to spring, they'll pack them up in a tote, either put them under their bed or put them on top of their wardrobe and switch their wardrobes out in there. But I hope, does that help answer your question, Amanda, in terms of the weather? Maddie, I don't know if you have anything else from your perspective as a student.
Yeah, everything Kyle said was right. The worst of the weather really happens while we're on winter break and we all disperse back to our hometowns.
Yeah.
So a good mix of warm, and then it gets to chilly towards the middle of the year, and then the end of the academic year is nice and sunny again.
Yeah. All freshman students can have cars. So if you are thinking about driving or having a car, all students are welcome. We are fortunate we have a ton of parking. Niagara University is the largest private school in the Western New York area. So kind of putting in perspective, there's about 23 institutions of higher ed within Western New York. So Niagara University is the largest private school, and we are lucky that we have plenty of parking. So parking's not an issue, and it's actually very affordable. It's about $90 per year to park your car on campus. So being able to travel to and from is great. But any other questions, Chris or Amanda? The FAFSA, when is that due? It opens October 1st, and I would really try to say to get that in by January. I mean, there is it's really still open. It's open for a while. So Chris, if you have, a senior going into the senior year now, I would try to just get it in, try to do it in October, just get it done and out of the way. I would recommend trying to get it done before at least the end of the year. There isn't like a necessarily set due date, but you will not be able to even understand any costs or anything at all until the FAFSA was submitted anywhere. That's not just at Niagara, that's at any school. They won't be able to, you could maybe calculate it yourself of what your income is, but it's not going to be accurate. So being able to get that FAFSA in will ultimately just set you up to have those answers and be able to have that insight of what each school is going to cost you. So the sooner you get that in, the better. So I would say, anytime between October and December, but really, getting that done in October. And the reason why I say the sooner the better is our financial aid packages we send out in the order we receive your FAFSA. So if you're the first to send us your FAFSA in October, you'll be first on our list to send your financial aid package in January. So if you don't get your FAFSA in and complete it to us until February, you'll be on the end of the list. There's going to be a lot of people ahead of you, and it's going to take a little bit of time. So it'll take about 3 weeks for us to get it, but then it might take us a couple weeks to process it and then eventually get to it. So that's why I say just the sooner you can get it in, the better. Any other questions? An open house is a great question. And Maddie can definitely help explain this too. An open house is kind of what it sounds like. We invite you over, check it out. We have food, we have presentations. It's typically a couple hours. We have some info sessions. Our last open house, our president did the welcome. Then we had an admissions presentation, a financial aid presentation. Then we had some breakout sessions by academic interest. So if you were interested in political science, we would send you over to the College of Arts and Sciences. If you're interested in nursing, we had a breakout session with nursing. We also offer abbreviated campus tours at an open house. So there's a lot of great faculty perspectives, student perspectives that you can come see. Typically open houses for us fall on weekends. So Saturdays, some evening open houses. So an open house is just another great, it's just a big event. You know, we are focused on opening our doors and being able to showcase our campus and see how it could be a fit for you. So an open house visit. You can check most colleges' websites and see when they have open houses, but typically schools will have spring, summer, fall, winter open houses, multiple open houses, different styles of open houses for you to come visit. Any others? We love questions. Oh, there you go, Maddie.
Question for me. All right. So when I first came to campus, what surprised me was the amount of independence I would have, because I knew I was moving out for the first time and I was living on campus as a resident student, but you really do have a lot of it's very customizable as to what your college experience will be. So I was surprised I got to work with my advisor and make my schedule. I got to move my dorm around however I wanted. I got to add whatever clubs I wanted after class and really make my whole week my own. So I was just surprised that I had so much say in what I got to do here, and also with the amount of support. There's a lot of independence, but also you're never left on your own. So that's something that was not as much surprising, but that I wasn't expecting.
Thank you, Maddie. Yeah, I think one thing that I like to mention is, when I graduated from Niagara and I had my group of friends and I started working here, I asked them, could we all agree on one word that best describes Niagara? That I could be able to kind of share that we all agree on. And that word we settled on was comfortable. Niagara's a very comfortable place. You come in, as I mentioned, we're the largest private school, but we're really not even that big. We have between 2,000 to 3,000, just over 3,000 undergrad students. Between grad students, it's an extra 1,000. So about 4,000 students on 180 acres. So we're spread out, very walkable campus. So in terms of our actual atmosphere, it's already comfortable. But then the people and the folks here in admissions, like myself, we want to get you set up. We want to make sure that we're helping you out. We're no pressure. We know and understand that students are looking at multiple schools, but we just want to make sure that we're, really being able to cross your T's and dot your I's. Get you set up with faculty. But when you're here on campus, you get lost. You ask for directions. You feel comfortable to do that. You get lost in class and you're not sure about slide number 7. You're comfortable to talk to your professor. You really are allowed to be yourself. Students can get involved in so many different areas and so many different things, and nobody's going to judge them for it because it's college, and we want you to be involved in what you want to do, and we want you to benefit personally, professionally, but we also want our community to benefit. So being able to have students be themselves and be comfortable, I think, is a big part of who Niagara is. And when you come here, you're really going to see that everybody is so nice, and everybody's so helpful. So I think from my perspective as a student and now as an employee, that's a little bit about, who Niagara is. So Amanda, thank you for your question. Any others? We love them. I definitely appreciate all the questions that you have asked so far. I know that we covered a lot today. So what I'm going to do is I will put my email in the chat, my work cell phone in the chat. So if you have any questions or you need anything, please feel free. You can reach out to us at any time. And come visit. That's a big thing, I think, as of today, is just come check us out. We are open all summer. We have tours 3 times a day, so 9:30, noon, and 2. We also have a couple Saturdays a month that we are open for visits in the morning and early afternoon. And then we'll have some open houses coming up shortly. So thank you again for everything. If there is no other questions at this time, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Maddie, was there anything that you wanted to add or say that we didn't mention thus far? You're good to go? Sweet. All right. Well, Amanda and Chris, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. And hopefully we'll see you on campus soon. Thank you.